Who do we have on this podcast? What am I even shooting an intro for?
This is for, where they got the Musso brothers.
Oh, the family, the Musso family.
Yeah.
Charles Weinraub AKA the Handsome Homebuyer. I'm sure that's going to be in the intro too. Big podcast this week. We got a 2-for-1er. 2 weeks in a row, actually. First, we had the twins last week who pulled a switcheroo. This week, we have brothers. They don't really look that much alike. Definitely no switcheroo on this one, but they're amazing when it comes to land use and zoning and subdivisions in the single family world. So if you're a developer like myself, hands off, I'm claiming them. And you're looking to buy property 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots or more to build houses, these are the guys to get it for you. Peter and Paul Musso, Realty Connect USA. Yeah, kid, welcome back to another episode of Smells Like Cat Pee with Handsome. I'm obviously your host, Handsome Homebuyer. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, it's dated from the 1960s, 6 inches of mold on the wall, human waste floating past the basement step. I'm quick, I'm easy. Levy? You're a good time. I want to buy it. Obviously, if you have permit problems, you know you got to go to the Captain, the one, the only. We got you tip to tip, coast to coast, and by that I mean Elmont to Montauk and everything in between. And today's guest can obviously attest for the fact that the townships are a pain in the ass. But we hold your hand through the process. We don't promise that it's not going to be torturous. When you call us, we say, listen, it's going to be torturous. It's going to be long. It's going to cost you way more money than you want it to. The only thing I can promise you is I'm by your side, machine guns blazing, fighting the permit battle with you until it's over. Captain Permit, 516-513-8838. All right, good episode today. You guys ready? You're looking at me like this fucking guy is out of
tremendous energy.
Out of his mind.
Tremendous.
I love you do that live every time.
Out of his mind. Out of his mind. So I'm honored to be here with you guys. I'm upset that we hadn't met earlier, but I'm excited that we sat down to dinner the other night, and I appreciate the invite because it was awesome. It was like 3.5 hours. We talked about all of it, and I learned a lot of very cool stuff that you guys are into that I'm not going to say no agent because I don't know every other agent, but you guys have a very unique niche. You do everything, but you have this kind of, niche in the residential real estate market, which I don't know anybody else that has, which is, land use, subdivisions, new construction, and it's really cool and I'm excited to talk about it. So we have the trigger the Godfather music. Paul and Peter Musso, the Musso brothers of the Musso family. Right?
You got it.
I'm 50% Sicilian.
I heard, yes.
So
yes.
I got a little of that.
You can do it.
I do the Italian stuff with the nasally Jewish voice.
It works perfect.
So people are like, Realty Connect USA.
You are from Canarsie, you said, right?
I was born in Canarsie.
Great part of Brooklyn.
That's where I feel like I got all my street credit from. I was there until I was 3. So I carried that to Long Island. So that's where I got my street savvy and my street credit.
Being from Brooklyn, it definitely helps you because I do believe you have to have eyes behind the back of your head. And I don't know how you do what you do, but you do it well.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's my dad's got the street savvy. I grew up in Wantagh, which is a pretty sheltered place. I ended up getting street savvy when I went into business in Hempstead. I owned a body shop called Mako,
yes. Yeah.
and that's like. My dad basically just dropped me in Hempstead, and he was like, "All right, Hempstead will make a man out of you."
One way or the other, yes.
And it did. It's interesting. I say this all the time, and some people look at me like I'm an asshole for saying it, but I think there's validity to it. Where my parents were amazing. I love them to death. They gave me every opportunity in the world, and sometimes I wish that they hadn't given me as much because I feel like that's a handicap for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
I agree. And my brother and I, being raised from great Italian parents who immigrated to this country a while back, giving us every opportunity in the world. Yeah. So I believe parenting is very important, especially today.
It's a hard job, man.
Yes.
Extremely.
It's the job that never ends.
Yeah.
You have 3 kids, you have a daughter?
I got a daughter, so yes. And I'm waiting for Peter for his 4th.
Yeah.
No.
We're no.
You're not going for a 4th. You're not going for a 4th, right?
Brakes are on, brother.
You're in the thick of it. How old are your kids?
They're all born in April. They turned 3 in April, 2, and a newborn.
Oh, so you get whacked hard. Birthday presents, parties, everything. And you can't favor one over the other. So it's just like back to back.
It'll be one birthday party. Everyone's going to share in it. And
oh, is that what happens?
That's what, yeah.
Wait. So it's 3, what? How old are they?
3, 2, and we had a newborn this past
Oh, Jesus Christ. God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless your wife.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not sleeping.
No.
I can't even imagine what goes on.
I wake up with 2 of them in my bed every morning.
You just rapid fire, huh? No TV, just back to back to back.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does have an amazing wife and a great family. So
Yeah.
he's blessed.
Nice.
Yeah, very lucky.
And you guys are doing a lot of business, which is great. So, little backstory about you guys. Are you Long Island people or no?
We were actually born and raised in Brooklyn.
Nice.
Bensonhurst.
Ah.
Came out to the island when we were young, and for myself, I went the military route. My brother went the college route.
You were in the military?
90 to 96.
No shit. 90 to 96.
Yep.
So you were in there for a while.
Yeah, the furthest I got was Panama, but yes, I was in there.
Wow.
I did my 6 years.
What were you, Army?
Army.
No kidding.
Yeah, combat engineer unit, and the only thing I wish I would have done was I wish I would have stayed in longer.
You wish you would have stayed in longer.
Yeah.
Wow.
The military, and like I said, I think being born into our father, commitment and everything, perfection was important to him. And being in the military, everything had to be done, regimentally, and you had to be focused.
So do you feel that because of your upbringing, the military was a good fit for you?
Perfect.
Because of that?
Perfect.
Because
when I say we were raised by the belt, we were raised by a belt.
You ruled with heavy hands.
Ruled with a tremendous heavy hand.
very like old school traditional.
Very
Old school.
Yeah.
You guys are first generation? He was born in Italy?
We were first generation.
Wow.
Yeah, both our parents were born there.
Wow.
Came here right before Paulie was born, and he was born here. And yeah, old school Sicilian parents, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have loved your dad to meet our dad. Just passed away a couple of months back from cancer, but he was an amazing man.
So military, 6 years in the military. How, any action?
No, furthest I got was Panama, thank God, but that was the furthest I got. I got to visit the Panama Canal.
Why'd you leave?
For the military?
Yeah, no, why'd you, what made you go into the military? And then ultimately, what made you leave?
I had an uncle who was a Marine, hardcore Marine.
Okay.
Came out, seen tremendous stories from him. America was important to my family.
Yeah.
They did great help to my parents, and I felt as a kid growing up I wanted to give back, and I wanted to follow my uncle's footsteps.
So why'd you leave?
To be honest with you, you think about money, you think about opportunity, and I got into real estate as a young kid.
Yeah.
I bought my first home at 21, and
Wow.
I always looked at real estate as an opportunity. So I got out for the wrong reasons. I think it was about this. I wanted to help my parents,
Okay.
but I wish I would have stayed in.
And made a career out of it.
Yeah, or at least stayed in longer.
Yeah.
I think today that's something that kids need. And I always
What, discipline?
discipline is important. Discipline is important. Structure is
100%.
important. And I think where our father grew up in Italy, and he had to give 2 years of service.
Yeah.
And I think that should be something it should be instituted today.
That's a lot of countries. Steve who works in Captain Permit is from Korea. They have to serve for 2 years. Israel, there's a lot of places. Turkey, you have to serve for 6 months.
I think it elevates those kids from being kids to adult, whether it's a male or female.
No, I think it makes sense. I don't see that happening here.
No.
I mean, dude, everyone's so sensitive. You can't say anything. I mean, you try to have people go to the military, forget it. They'll be like,
Literally.
coup d'etat, uproars, people burning flags in the street, whatever. So how'd you end up getting into real estate?
You must have heard of a guy called Carlton Sheets, right?
Of course.
So
Old school, man. Old school.
I listened to him as a kid.
Now you're dating yourself.
I listened to him as a kid, and I elevated to do some work with somebody that's in the family that we bought and sold.
Okay.
And we were buying and selling,
Like flipping?
flipping properties.
Oh, okay. And this is back in the day before flipping had a TV show, before it was sexy, before anything.
This is way before even computers.
Probably before it was even called flipping.
You're talking 24 years ago. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So we
Early
were
90s.
Yeah, early 90s.
mid-90s.
And
Out here on the island?
out here on the island, and we were doing, not like yourself, but we were doing probably 2 or 3 a month, and we worked for. And
It's a lot of houses, man.
It was good housing, good, and we learned, and then I decided 22 years ago to step it up and become a realtor.
Okay.
Hence 22, going on 23 years business. And my brother's been licensed now for 15,
Maybe more than that.
16 years.
Probably 15 years. Yeah. I got
You've an interesting background too. We talked
Tremendous.
about the other day.
Yeah, so I started out with Paulie. I was still in high school. So I started out renovating, just working on the houses.
Oh, like literally.
Literally. I was
Paul, you were swinging a hammer? Wow.
No, he was. Yeah, I was swinging hammers. He was
delegating.
Yeah, right. I was working 10-hour days for $50 a day, man.
It builds character, man.
Yes.
That was your military.
Listen, I was in high school. It was great.
Yeah.
You know, and I continued that through college a little bit. So I went to SUNY Albany.
Okay. Good times, man.
Good times.
Cold as hell, but good times.
Cold as hell, windy in the winter.
You know they shut all those bars down? Like Bogies, the Post, all those places?
Familiar.
God, dude.
Back,
Of course I know about Bogies. The only thing you guys didn't have is cold cheese pizza. Tony Anta had the cold cheese pizza.
we had 50-cent slices, man. At 2 o'clock in the morning. Did you?
50
I
cents
probably graduated
slices.
a few years before you did.
Are we old?
We're getting old.
We're getting old?
We're getting old, man. So I was up there for 4 years, majored in communications, came out, worked in finance for a little bit, and ended up getting my license while I was in college, my real estate license. So I worked with Paulie a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Throughout college, worked a little bit.
I thought you went into the finance aspect first and then back and then over.
No, so I came out, worked in finance for like a year.
Okay.
It was as an advisor.
Okay.
Insurance products.
Yeah.
Got back into real estate with Paulie full time, right around like 07. So market took a shit, and I got scared. I ended up going back to school. I was in my late 20s. I got my master's in real estate from CUNY Baruch, and
which is a big deal, and not many agents have that, and I think it's extremely valuable.
so when you're going through it, you don't know which way life's going to take you. And looking back, it was the best thing I did.
Yeah.
Because it took me down a different path, opened my eyes to a completely different end of the business.
Yeah.
I worked for a private equity firm. I worked for one of the largest developers in the city for a little bit, and then took a path down affordable housing.
Yeah, which is crazy stuff, man.
Listen, it's real estate development is real estate development, right? Construction, acquisition, the financing, and underwriting. But in affordable housing, you have this whole other layer of regulatory agreements and agencies and financing so it keeps it beyond interesting, and you're always learning on these deals. Every state's got a different financing and grants, and so it's so I've been doing that for the past 10 years or so. I sit on the board at CUNY Baruch now, and I've been weaving myself back into working with Paulie and the team, and we've been working on some pretty cool projects, and we got some pretty cool stuff
really
to
good
come.
projects.
Yeah.
And it's always very cool to be able to work, alongside family.
Oh, Yes.
But I do the same, and it's very cool.
We're up at times till midnight.
Yeah,
just
we have
conversing
calls
on
we
projects.
calls
Yep.
exactly 11, 12 o'clock at night, planning ahead, and
But listen, education is something that's so important, and coming from a person like myself who barely made it out of high school, but then who went back to NYU to get my master's in real estate development and did a similar course, I think it puts you guys, stuff like that, puts you guys on a totally different level, because it gives you just a new set of eyes to see investment opportunities, which you guys have basically parlayed into what you're doing now. I mean, you do regular listings and sales, but you do, I would say you guys are experts in subdivisions, land use, and zoning on a residential level of, would you say 50 units or less? But then you guys are also doing some really big stuff recently. You did a big deal you were telling me about.
We just got done wrapping up with a national developer that we sold the
48 acres.
Yep. And that was just shy of $9 million, and it was a great opportunity, and elevated my brother and I to a whole nother level to deal with national developers like this. And I would say that because of Pete's background at Baruch, like you just mentioned, that elevated us to a whole new level of dealing in development work. And based on that, we have a lot of other projects coming down the pike, and it's going to open up some great doors, not just for us, but for the team that work with us. Because as you have a great group of people here, your happiness is not just for yourself, but you get happiness by working with such awesome people.
Yeah, no, of course.
So it's given us some good opportunity to open up some great doors.
Yeah, and so Long Island, obviously, we know Long Island is I think New York is the toughest place to do anything.
Extremely tough.
So you're on Long Island,
Very complex.
and this is the cool thing about you guys. Like, Long Island doesn't really have any land left. Long Island is built out. I mean, there's a ton of land, but it's all preserved, or it's county or town owned or whatever it is, and that's it. So some of the architects that I've worked with are like, in Long Island, you have to create your own land.
Perfect. You got to create your own opportunity, yes.
Which is really like what you guys are experts in doing, because there's a lot of people, especially, I mean, it happens in Nassau, but more so in Suffolk, where you guys speak with homeowners who speak with agents who are like, listen, I have a house in Bohemia that I think is worth $450, and you're like, well, actually, your house is really worth $650 because we can subdivide it, and I could have a builder do this, and he's going to put 3 houses there, and if you're a little bit patient and you give us, 9 months, I'm going to be able to get you 50, 60, 100, 300% more for your money.
And that's a great story, and that's a perfect situation, and that exactly is what has happened in that town. So you hit the nail on the head.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you were doing flips originally. How did you end up getting into that aspect of the business?
Development.
Well, that, subdivisions, land use, really,
So
knowing the towns, knowing the players.
Land for a short stint. As I got in the military, I did swing a hammer. I was an electrician by trade.
Okay.
So I was always involved in development. I worked for a family member running excavators and payloaders. Mm-hmm. So I understood development from an actual development standpoint, shooting topos and going through that process. And I always loved the thought about redeveloping and taking something that's nothing and turning it into something great. And obviously with Pete's background, it's now made a perfect mend for us because everything's about numbers. Mm-hmm. And his aspect of what he brought to the table for us has elevated us to get involved in some great projects.
So, and that's cool. It's cool that you had that experience because, like, I was talking to my buddy Enzo invented the 3D printer out east. So I was talking to him about it the other day, and I was like, bro, I'm so excited.
Is he Italian?
Yes. Like hardcore. His father came in off the boat from Italy.
It'd be great to meet him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's awesome. You will.
Paul's not in real estate.
His father was in real estate, actually. He's passed. He passed.
Oh, okay.
But I was like, listen, I'm so excited to be in the mix of something that's so cutting edge and be around such brilliant minds. And we were just talking about how the blend is so important. So when you start talking about how you like had your hands in the dirt and now you get the finance background and you guys learn from each other, and now when you have the street experience and then you have the higher education experience and you mix them together, it's like a nasty combination. Because one without the other doesn't work the same. Like you get these guys, like when I was at NYU, there were some brilliant, very wealthy, like multi-generational real estate family kids there. But like they don't get it entirely because it's all books. It's all numbers. It's all spreadsheets.
Them, yeah.
It's different when you're standing like in the dirt, when you're negotiating, when you see something being built, like when you understand the market because you live in it. So, now that you guys have that blend together, it makes for a very powerful combination.
And I think we've been working on streamlining some opportunities. We probably have close to 100 pieces of property that we've been working over the course of the past 6 months from developmental standpoints.
Nice.
And I think next year will be an amazing year for us. We were running some numbers earlier. We got just shy of $30 million going in the ground just in Spittown alone of development. So
that's awesome.
I think
breaking
next
ground
year,
over the next 6 to 18 months.
I think next year is going to be a monumental year. I set a goal. I set a goal to do 200 houses next year, 200 acquisitions for flips next year. The moratorium I think is going to end. We're already seeing it end in different states. I'm getting feedback from my like wholesaler friends in different states that like as soon as these people who haven't been paying are getting that first mortgage statement, they're freaking out. People that haven't paid whatever taxes, whatever it is, people getting evicted, the floodgates. I think we're going to have an exceptional 3-year run in real estate before it just melts down, before the country melts down again. But I think we're going to make a lot of money in the next 3 years.
Do you see, and I know we know that obviously you're doing a lot of rental stuff as well. Mm-hmm. How do you see that? How do you see that market?
So my strategy is a little bit different. I'm 85% of my portfolio is like CDC Section 8 or some type of government based. So I don't have any issues. Like I went right through COVID, not filing an eviction to get rid of anybody for non-payment of rent because the government's paying. These people have their vouchers. They don't want to lose them. The wait is 3 to 5 to 7 years to get a voucher. They don't want to mess around with that. I mean, the level of benefits that these people are getting is...
They don't want to lose it.
Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, between that, the food stamps, the HEAP, if they're getting all these things, disability checks, whatever it is, I mean, they're getting... Some of them are getting $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 worth of pre-tax benefits.
So why lose that? Right.
Yeah, why lose that to not pay, the $2 or $3 or $100 portion of your rent, or why trash a place, something like that. That's why, like, people are like, Section 810's trash a place. I'm like, that has literally happened to me once, and I have over 100 rentals.
Yeah, but we've seen some of the work you do. You put out a nice product. You set the standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of
Thank
what
you. No,
expect.
we do that, and the team does a great job of managing, and we're in there every 3 to 4 months talking to these people, checking everything out, making sure that, like, everything's done right.
You have to be present as a manager.
You have to. Like, when I go and see these bills, but on the flip side, when people don't do that, that's the opportunity for me to buy.
Right.
So like, I've been into a lot of these places that I'm buying at 7 or 8 or 9 caps on these smaller apartment buildings that I'm doing now, and then I'm renovating them, repositioning, and then refinancing them out at 5 caps. So like, that's really the value play for me on the like 5 to 15 unit level.
Awesome stuff.
Which is cool.
And,
yeah, it's good. So
and for you, that's a perfect little niche that a lot of people don't touch. The big guys, the Tritechs and the Avalons and things like that.
It's weird the way it works. Like, I was thinking about it the other day because we're doing that 25 lot subdivision that we were talking about, and I'm kind of like, I think when you get to that level, it's kind of the ceiling. And then once you get to, like, for somebody like myself, once you get to that level, you have to jump over the middle level to be with the big boys, because once you get past 25 houses, even if the bank's putting up 70% or 65% LTC, there's such a big chunk of money that you have to come up with. And it doesn't make sense to raise equity because it's just, you're not making enough money, in my opinion, for what you have to go through. So now you have to go from doing like 25 lots of, either you have to stay at that level, or you have to jump to doing like 300 lots or $50 million deals plus, $100 million deal apartment buildings plus, so that you can syndicate that equity piece. Because otherwise it's not worth it. So it's interesting. You can either play on that lowish middle level and just keep hitting singles, which is great, or if you like the action, which I do, you got to go play with the big boys. So that's what's coming.
You build your track record, right?
Yeah.
You build your experience. You have more confidence in it, and then at the end of the day, whether you're buying a 15 unit or you're buying a 75 unit building,
Just a couple zeros.
it's just a couple zeros at the end of the day.
It's just a couple zeros.
More staff, and it's just maybe finance is a little more complicated, but at the end of the day, it's...
Yeah, I think there's certain hurdles. I don't remember exactly. Scott Berman from Angle Berman was on here like a couple months ago, and he was talking about, they own the Bristols and they've done all kinds of stuff, but now they're doing like a monster project in Long Beach. Did you hear about that?
Yes,
the one
yes.
right. And he's like, this is another level. He's like up to like I think he said 250 million or something. He's like, whatever, easy. Like, that's what we're good at. It's like once you break the $250 million level, it just becomes a different animal. So I guess there's like hurdles.
And that company has mastered their process.
Yeah.
Mastered it to a T.
Mastered it.
Every day, every dollar.
Yes.
I
Meticulously
know a
well
lot of
run.
guys on their trades that work for them, and they are very precise, right to every nickel.
Yeah. No, he runs construction. He's a gentleman, and you could tell like they're like bred for that.
Yes.
Type of stuff. So I want to talk a little bit more about the land use stuff so people understand. Tell everybody what a subdivision is. Tell everybody some of the challenges you guys go through, the opportunities, the time frames, things to look out for, things to get excited about, etc.
We've been blessed that even agents out there come to us with opportunities that they may not see. So, we've been in numerous situations where you might have that lot that's 100 wide by 400 deep, and it's sitting on a main road, and people don't think about it. If we just rotate the house and split the lot down the middle, we get 2 lots out of it. So, like, something as simple as that to something that could be as complex as knowing if a building is on sewers or not. People don't understand the
Game changer, man.
complexity of if a piece of property is on sewers. It changes the dynamics of the development. So those are the things that we look at from a 3,000-foot view to say, what's the highest and best use of that property?
Yes.
And it's helped us elevate us. And I appreciate the fact that you mentioned that we're experts in the industry, but it has helped us become experts in the industry. So anytime that there's a development opportunity or redevelopment opportunity, we'll always look at that. We were involved in a project that concerned Weinraub AKA that was in Ronkonkoma. That was a How many units was it?
75 units they ended up building there. But it
Seven.
took how many years to compile
4
the
years.
pieces,
And
various lots that we put together,
How long did it take?
it was like 4 or 5 year process.
just to get the land put together.
Yeah.
All the acquisition. It was all acquisition that we pieced together.
Development is a totally different animal. And when I first started doing the commercial stuff that they're doing, I was like, I want it done now. And then I quickly realized, I'm like, this shit takes forever, bro. Like, I'm used to my buddies being like, hey, we got a deal. You want to close next week? Yeah, let's go. Close next week. Send an email. Funding's there. The boys are off and running. Leo, rally the troops. They're ripping the place apart. 8 weeks, it's back together on the market. Pops, blow this thing out. Gone, right? With commercial development, it's like glacial
And
pace.
think about it from your standpoint as the investor. You're tying up time, but you're tying up how much
Bleeding money.
bleeding money for years.
Years.
And for the chance that the town's going to shut you down or the civics are going to shut you down, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's nuts. I mean, listen, we had talked about that, and you got to roll the dice. You got to be in the game. I did that deal in Oceanside. I was trying to do that deal in Oceanside with the Temple, which I think would have been great. And ultimately, I spent 2 years and almost $200,000 to lose. And that's it. That money's gone.
Nobody realizes what you put
that's
up.
why you see a lot of big dogs, a lot of big plays. They're leaving New York.
Yeah.
You mentioned Berman. I believe they're heading down to Florida. You have a lot of guys that are heading south because development process, and I hope people in the political world hear some of this, is that development process shouldn't be so hard.
No.
It should not be so complicated.
It's freaking brutal.
You should, if you look at what's happening on Long Island right now, we're losing our youth more than ever.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, a lot of young people do want rentals, and the lay people out there are concerned about the rentals. People who are paying $3,000 a month for a rental got to be making a good living, and we as people within the industry try to fight every day to figure out how do we keep our youth, how do we keep the young, how do we make things obtainable so we're not losing our youth every day. And that's the one thing, hopefully before I leave this earth, that I could help change. And we've looked at numerous projects to try and help. Listen, obviously for you as a developer, you want to make money, but
There's a balance
There's a
there.
balance.
There's a socially, like I always tell when I talk to, the first thing when I get into a deal is I go and I speak to, the powers that be and talk to them, whether it's, economic development committee, the council people, whatever it is. And I think the general public, and this is not to talk bad about the general public, but this isn't what they do every day. So they're ignorant to the process. They're ignorant to the economics. They don't understand about what's going on, most of them. And a lot of people just fear change so much. That's what ultimately kills these things, and you get like a mob mentality, and people are yelling and screaming, and they have personal vendettas. Like there was another time I tried to do a 2-lot subdivision in Wantagh. You would think that I was selling kids into sex slavery the way these people were coming out trying to string me up. And when I talked to them afterwards, they're like, "I hate that lady who you're buying the house from. I wanted to chop down a tree, and she wouldn't let me do it 30 years ago." And it's like, okay, so now you're gonna have a rotting piece of shit in your neighborhood because she wouldn't let you cut a tree down 30 years ago?
And instead of thinking about how positive, what you're doing to change the community and what you're doing to help raise the value of the local homes, they don't look at
They look at developers, they look at people in business, and they think, you're making a lot of money, I'm not getting anything out of this, there's no benefit for me. And I think, not to get political because I don't really know shit about politics, but it's basic common sense. I think if we have people that are elected to represent us in the best interest of us as a whole, you have to bring people in like yourselves who understand the benefits of this stuff. And then sometimes you have to turn around to the general public and say, this is what's good for you.
it. This is what has to happen.
And this is what has to happen. And you know what? People forget about it 2 minutes fucking later. They do. They don't care.
You have certain
6 months later, it's done.
That's it.
certain village of Patchogue, certain
Are amazing.
Certain officials have come in and they've done that. And look,
Pontieri did an amazing job.
and look,
And that's the thing. And I think it has to do with, great example, because we're doing the 3D printed house in Islandia. The mayor in Islandia is awesome. I'm doing an assisted living facility in Farmingdale. Mayor Farmingdale, awesome. Pontieri,
Amazing.
Amazing. That he'll go down in history. Number one village in the country.
Yes.
But you don't see people uprising, freaking out, screaming, yelling. They do what they know is best, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's it. And no one even gets to hear about it. What did mainstream Patchogue look like 20 years ago?
I wouldn't walk down there with my girlfriend.
That's what I'm freaking saying.
Right.
And now it's like a thriving.
It's an amazing place. Everybody wants to get to Patchogue. Everybody wants to be in Patchogue. That's a perfect example. You got rentals units in there along Main Street that are going for $3,000. Like that's, in order to afford that, you got to be making good money.
Exactly. And listen, developers aren't going to come in and spend 50, 100, 200 million dollars and just to see it go to and just to see it go to shit. Like, there's obviously, reasons. There's obviously demand.
Tremendous demand.
Well, listen, all these new rental communities going on in the downtowns, they're leasing up. Leasing up is not the issue.
No, it's getting the permits to do this stuff.
Exactly.
And
Because
to
they're
your
not
point,
using you. That's the problem.
oh, what, the Captain Permit? Yeah. Captain Permit. 516-513-8838. I like the way you put that in. It's better than I would do it. But yeah, I mean, talk to people about the process of a subdivision, how it works.
So if there's somebody out there that's looking to have a property developed, or they think it could be developed, they would contact us. We would review it, look at it, check out the highest and best use.
If I could just chime in, a lot of our success is because of the team we have around us. So we know what attorneys to go to, right?
We have great relationships with the towns.
Right. So depending on what town it is, we know what attorney to go to.
And that's what it's about.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous because they can give us directive on how many lots we could squeeze out of the potential property.
Yeah, and you have to get creative. I feel like it's much as it's equal parts art, science, and relationships.
Tremendous relationships in this business. Tremendous from the aspect of the real estate to the people that are doing the permitting, or the people right at the town level.
Yeah.
And the people at the town level. There's great towns out there. You know that. There's great towns that allow the opportunity for redevelopment, and we try to sink our teeth into those townships a little bit more effectively and aggressively, so it gives better support to our clients.
So talk about the market as a whole right now. Where do you see it now? Where do you see it going in the next 3 years? So
development-wise, we can't hold on to our product. We're always searching for opportunity. Most of the properties that we represent, we're selling a lot of our projects right off of print.
Yeah.
We're selling homes right off of blueprint. So and the information that my brother and I provide to the public, or we sit with clients, we understand development, so we can talk the talk.
Yeah.
And we can make them feel comfortable. So a lot of stuff that we're selling is right off the prints. New construction in any town. I don't care if you're looking at Smithtown, Brentwood, Bayshore, Selden. We have stuff in. New construction is moving quick. And where the single family market's going to be, I agree with you. I think the next 2 to 3 years, we have some great opportunity.
Yep.
Obviously, everything depends on what happens around politics and what
Interest
goes
rates.
on. Interest rates, what goes on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It seems like, do we go to war? Do we not go to war? I think all of that's going to be a component of where the market will drive itself. What
do you think about material prices? What did you see? How did you see the developers struggling over the last couple of years in regards to like increased material prices? Especially when you're doing, you deal with medium to small size subdivisions, so it's not as crazy. But if you have a developer who's going out, who's pre-selling homes, and all of a sudden lumber goes from $3 a 2x4 to $12 a 2x4, it's a freaking problem.
We actually.
One was delays, on getting material, which I think we're getting past that. But you're still seeing it. You're still seeing delays, I'm sure.
I have 15 houses that need AC condensers that are sitting in a ship in the
Right.
water because nobody's working and they can't unload the ships.
Right.
Like, it's freaking bananas.
But what's happening is that the expenses, the developer is absorbing some of it, but at the end of the day, if the market's going to bear it, it's getting passed off to the client.
We've been lucky that inflation has been across the board. Like, so material prices went up, but then the market skyrocketed.
So it helped.
But if you pre-sold houses, like I have buddies down south,
we have guys that
200 houses they pre-sold,
They
boom,
got
crushed.
Yeah.
They're losing 40, 50, 60, 100 grand on a house.
Yes.
Crushed.
Thankfully, some of our guys up here have been, made pretty good, but they went from $100,000 return on a new construction down to 50 because of it, because they pre-sold.
Yeah. Even that's not terrible. Like, the market shifts. If you can make some money, that's great.
Yeah.
But like, in here the margins are better because the prices are higher. Right? So if you're talking about a 10 or 15% return on your money, and you're talking about a $600 million home, whatever, but if you're down south and you're selling $300,000, $400,000 houses,
those profit margins are tight.
they're they're working off 20 grand, 25 grand. Material shifts, they get blown out.
Crushed.
We had a real interesting dynamic here, though, right? Even though we had this increase in pricing of materials, we had the exodus from the city.
Yeah.
And that's what helped absorb the additional expenses with the market.
I feel like we had like a 3-month
Inventory's
stall,
depressed.
and then it just took off like a freaking rocket.
Like a rocket.
Like a rocket.
Unlike anything we've ever seen
And
before.
hasn't stopped to the point where like I can't drive anywhere without dealing with insane amount of traffic, which I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
But listen, it could be worse. It could be the city. It could be other places. We did very, very well. There really wasn't much of a recession here, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, a lot of people made out well.
A lot of people made a ton of money.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people-
And still are making a ton of
made out
money.
Very well.
And really, there's a lot of money to be made in those recessionary times. The key is to just
Talked about that.
Yeah, put yourself in a position where you can capitalize on that. Don't be over leveraged. Have good relationships, etc.
A lot of the guys with a lot of liquid money typically buy
Yep.
when everybody has to get out.
When there's blood in the streets.
Yeah.
That's it.
And,
Make
and
money.
I hate to say it, we've seen it, and we'll probably see it again at some time.
I mean, it's
inevitable.
statistically proven that we will.
Yes.
So, every 5 to 10 years or so, and nobody has a crystal ball, there's some form of a correction, whether it be a major one or a minor one, like a minor one like we just had in certain respects, a major one like in 2007. But there's another one coming. It's not going to be today, it's not going to be tomorrow, but it's going to come. So I always tell people, when people are like, oh, the market's inflated, whatever, what should I do? I'm like, get an education, understand what you're doing, get your pieces together. This way, when the market does go, you have a
Right.
chance. Like, I don't like the stock market. It's just not my thing. But every time one of these like crashes happen, I'm like, fuck. I should just throw something in there, right? Because if the market takes a crap and drops like 1,000 points or whatever it is, it's coming back.
Yeah.
Just like, and that's what happens. You get a lot of people. Like, I know a lot of people. Most of them are older at this point, but their thing is, I wait for the downturns. So they'll just sit there doing nothing. When the downturn comes, they go all in.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they'll ride it for 2 years, and they'll make 300% on their money, and then they'll freaking hang out and waiting for the next one. Private equity, I'm sure, you've seen it. Those guys are investing all the time, but they have a butt ton of money, and when recessions happen, they go all in.
Yeah, listen. When I started with them, it was right after the last recession.
Yeah.
And they ran out like gangbusters, buying throughout the southwest.
Forget it.
And just by the virtue of appreciation over the last
That's
10
what it
years,
is.
they made tremendous. I mean, anything that they modeled, they blew out of the water.
There was a book.
Nobody expected the market to go on the run that it did for so long.
There was a book that I read, I forgot the name of it, but basically it's like the story of Blackstone. So it's like how Blackstone came about and all that. And they said with leveraged buyouts, it wasn't so much the value that they were creating by putting top-notch management in there or whatever. It was about buying when the market went to shit at a higher multiple, and then at a higher cap rate, and then as business came back. And as more people wanted to buy businesses, the cap rates would drop, the multipliers would increase and go from, they were paying 5 times on earnings and they would end up selling at 10 times on earnings. And that's what it was. It was just about timing.
Amazing company.
A lot of it is more about timing. So in regards to timing, I got to go see a house that smells like cat pee
of course.
in Babylon. So listen, you guys are gentlemen. I'm so happy to have finally met you. We got to get a new construction deal in the ground.
We will.
If not this year, definitely next year.
will.
I need you to contribute to that 200.
We will.
That's a lift, man.
We will.
Deal.
Done.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Thanks.
that. Yo, if people are interested in
Pleasure.
following you guys, talking to you guys, or possibly joining the team, have a seat for one more second. Tell everybody your social media handles, contact information. How do they get in touch with you?
Facebook, we're everything's Team Musso. Facebook's Team Musso. Instagram's Team Musso.
Or you can reach the office the old-fashioned way at 631-865-7745, and we appreciate the opportunity you've given us, and we hopefully will see you soon. my
Absolutely,
brother.
man.
Thank you.
And if you have a deal, 200 in 2022, baby. 516-777 sold. That's a wrap.
Nice.
Awesome.